So as introduction to our video this morning, and I sent you the recording. So I'm hoping those who aren't able to show up today, some of them at least are watching that, but you could use that link as well with some group or your team where you work or whatever the case might be, to, smarten up even more of us, right? Not just those who are with us this morning. So what I want to invite you to do, this old school person that I am, but I want to get the most out of watching this recording with you. The State of the City happened a week ago Tuesday. So this is like 9 days old. But I invite you, to get a piece of paper and a pen. And a couple things. I mean, you can write down whatever you want, of course, or not write down, but I want to encourage you to at least make note of where what he's mentioning intersects with things that we are doing, things that he might mention that we need to hear more about. And then third, maybe even like a tally, that's what I'm going to do, to just count how many times what he's talking about is about compassion. I don't even know if he uses the word during the actual State of the City, but when he's talking about something where you see or hear that, well, there's compassion at work there, right? So I'll give you one example. So everybody will get one already, but he does talk about the Ready to Work program through the city. And that is compassion on a systemic level. It's still, finding its own, but that is an act of compassion. So that's kind of what I'm talking about. So you got one tally mark there. So again, things he talks about that already intersects with things that we know that are happening among us, things he mentions that we need to know more about, and listening for compassion. And Sam, I know your hand was up. Did you want to say something before we start? Okay.
Oh yeah, I wanted to say something. I'm sorry. I'm driving, so I hate driving and doing and talking and stuff. But I saw the first like 20 minutes of it yesterday, so I just wanted to say your invocation and prayer was incredible. I loved it. I think I was watching it. Somebody had sent it to me.
The invocation. Yeah, well, we're not going to watch the invocation today. That person who gave that invocation, she didn't know what was going on. And well, I can talk about myself that way. So anyway, well, thank you for those kind words. We're not watching the invocation today.
I just wanted to say thank you. I thought it was fantastic.
Well, thank you for those kind words. So I'm going to bring it up on screen, share sound, optimize. I'm doing my very best, and I've queued it up so it's like right at the beginning. He's no introduction or anything. Can you see this before I go?
Yes.
Someone?
Yes.
Yes.
Got it. Here we go.
Kevin, for the kind introduction. It has been yet another eventful year since we last met for the State of the City address. And as I close out my third term, like you, I'm struck by time has passed. Projects that once seemed a dream are now underway. My son Jonah is now in high school. I'm told that my hair has turned gray. Incidentally, kept their eyes on the ball. As a city, we have displayed remarkable unity and shared commitment to one another. We've stayed focused on long-running, formidable problems such as workforce development, housing, and transportation, and we've made real progress on economic mobility for all of our residents. I salute the people of San Antonio for their vision and steadfast resolve. The accomplishments we'll speak of today are their accomplishments, and we can expect the same kind of unity as we face the new challenges moving forward. I want to thank my City Council colleagues for their hard work and dedication. We've made a lot of progress and some significant decisions in this term. I also want to recognize City Manager Eric Walsh. Eric and his team have demonstrated a determined commitment to responsible stewardship of your tax dollars while managing a daunting array of programs and services. And of course, I wouldn't be here without my wife, partner, and best friend, Erica Prosper, who inspires me every day, and my son Jonah, who is the reason why I entered public service in the first place. Because I want him and his peers to be able to choose San Antonio, even if they would be able to live anywhere else in the world. But first, I want to start with one of our oldest and strongest partners in our city, the military. Not only is the military a great partner with deep social and economic roots in our community, they're also the top employer in the region and contribute close to $40 billion annually to the local economy and approximately $114 billion to the Texas economy. Military City USA has partnered with JBSA to overcome some of the most daunting challenges in our history. Some of those challenges, including life-saving logistics support to our residents during Winter Storm Uri, and our close cooperation with BAMC at the onset of COVID-19. In the past year, we've continued to fund the Military Spouse Fellowship Program, administered a multi-million-dollar state grant supporting JBSA infrastructure. We enhanced our Ready to Work program to include military veterans and spouses. And we're united, and we remain united in solving child care challenges faced by military families. And soon, I'm confident that we will have an agreement to provide EMS services to Camp Bullis and Fort Sam Houston. Currently, we're working together at the Texas legislature to protect our military installations from urban encroachment and loss of training areas. And I'm pleased to report that our joint testimonies and advocacy efforts have produced results. So I'd like to take a moment to thank and recognize the uniformed leaders who are here from Military City USA. Please hold your applause while I introduce them all. Bob Nathan, Deputy to the Commanding General, U.S. Army North, 5th Army. Major General William Prendergast, Deputy Commanding General, National Guard, U.S. Army North, 5th Army. Brigadier General Russell Driggers, Commander of Joint Base San Antonio. Brigadier General Deidre Hayden, Commanding General, Brooke Army Medical Center. Captain Gerald DeLong, representing Navy Medical Research Unit, San Antonio. Chief Master Sergeant, Sergeant Casey Boomershine, Command Chief, Joint Base San Antonio. Sergeant Major John E. Dobbins, Command Sergeant Major of Brooke Army Medical Center. Senior Chief Hospital Corpsman David C. Snow, Senior Enlisted Leader for Naval Medical Research Unit San Antonio. I'm also told that Joe Bray is here, who is our civilian aide to the Secretary of the Army. Please give them all a round of applause. As you've heard me state, the military is in our DNA. Our civilian residents share and exude the military spirit of service and of sacrifice. Thank you for supporting San Antonio and for your contributions to our national security. Let's all show our gratitude every day to our military leaders, our veterans, and the men and women in uniform across the nation. And I know we'll strengthen our relationship and continue to do so. Our city's military leader, retired Marine General Juan Ayala, and his department stand ready to support your missions, your installations, and your families. So please continue to call on him. It's always a pleasure to be here and see JBSA leadership breaking bread with our community in the business. Demonstrating our valued partnership at the United Chambers State of the City Luncheon. So thank you to the Alamo Asian Chamber of Commerce, the Alamo City Black Chamber, the Hispanic Chamber, and the San Antonio Chamber for hosting this event. Your continued partnership is essential for the future success of our city, and I'm grateful for your commitment and for your dedication. It was good to see so many of you in our community, representing our community in Washington during the SA to DC trip this year. The annual State of the City address is a time to
Sorry about this. Not sure what's happening. Hang in there with me.
And and if
Yeah.
everybody can turn off their video,
And just listen.
they may help the bandwidth.
Okay. So everybody turns off their video. It's been suggested. It might help with bandwidth. It's doing pretty good, wasn't it? I thought. Turning off mine.
When I reviewed it yesterday, it'll start at about maybe 41. It was a pause.
There was a pause here.
Yes.
I say, well, just be patient here. The numbers are still going. I did put into chat while we're being patient here, that if you hear things that we need to hear more about, just to go ahead and put that into chat so we don't lose those important thoughts, and then we can plan those at upcoming intersections. And we've got a nice size group of people here today. So thank you to everyone who's here. I really appreciate your attendance. I'm going to pause it again, maybe just a little burp. And again, I sent out the link yesterday. Any other thoughts from anybody here? Trying different techniques.
This is Martha Ann, and I will mention that one of the students in the current compassion integrity training was at a neighborhood celebration, and she said that the mayor was at their neighborhood celebration, and he was so impressive talking about compassion. And she was really happy to be in compassionate integrity training, or she is really happy to be in compassionate integrity training right now.
Thank you, Martha Ann.
Yesterday, Joy Housey and I, who are facilitating compassion integrity training, were at the monthly gathering with other leaders. We were with someone from India, South Africa, Brazil, Spain, Ireland, a few places in the US, some leadership people in Georgia. And it's really quite exciting how we are in this global movement to further a more compassionate world. And we're doing significant things in this city.
This simple but brilliant trick you can do tonight to eliminate all
Thank you for that, Martha Ann. I'm sorry about that. Thought about maybe refreshing it. Let's see what happens. Nothing.
And while we're talking, Dr. Andre Boyle, Cultural England, you know, the Mayor of Compassion for Immigrants and Refugees. And this year, I just put a link in the chat room about little Amal, a refugee, a Syrian 12-foot puppet refugee who's going to be coming here to San Antonio as part of the Welcome Walk this year. So there's a link there. You can see some videos of her. So please save the date, October 21st for that. So just want to share some information from compassion as well as the topic for today. Thank you.
We also have a Fulbright scholar coming this next academic year from Georgia, and not here in the United States, Georgia. And his specialty is peace and conflict resolution and compassion. So my hope and interfaith dialogue. My hope is that we will all be hearing from him. He'll be here with his family for the entire academic year. So that's exciting. I don't seem like I'm progressing here.
And I know this person. Well, my wife is from the country of Georgia, and I've heard, and somebody was introducing or talking about this with her. And so I would love to get more information about that. This is quite a connection. So that would be awesome.
Great. I know his first name is Vladimir. And Andrew Hill, who's a professor at St. Philip's, he helped to, make that happen. There's like applications and things like that. And he did all of that work. Anyone got any thoughts about this? I'm very sorry this is happening. I'm trying to burp it in all sorts of different ways, probably doing too much.
Then you've got the Supreme Court when they overturned Roe v. Wade. You put a very
It has been yet another eventful year since we last met for the State of the City address. It's passed. It's passed. Projects that once seemed a dream are now under. It's passed. Projects that once seemed a dream are now underway. My son Jonah is now in high school. I'm told that my hair has turned gray.
Oh, that didn't do it. Keep talking, folks. The passion play. Huh, there that is.
Go to 4324.
Did that work? Hang on. I'm just kind of rebooting the whole thing.
You pronounce wrong 2 years before your brain starts shutting down. Dementia.
Another eventful year since we last met for the State of the City address. And as I close out my third term, like you, I'm struck by how quickly time has passed. Projects that once seemed a dream are now underway. My son Jonah's.
You said 43?
Is enormous. Non-airline LEAP repair location in America. The potential impact is enormous. I can't overstate it. This is a big deal.
He's talking about the
This announcement
airport
will result in the creation of many
renovation.
jobs at Port San Antonio, and the aircraft service life for the maintenance of these engines could span several decades. This contract will ensure that San Antonio has high-paying aircraft jobs for another generation. The quality jobs these employers are offering represent that bright future we're striving to ensure for San Antonio. And since I became mayor, Victory Capital, Pabst Brewing Company, Nisei American, DeLorean, they've all relocated their headquarters in San Antonio. More to come. While our unemployment rate is low, too many San Antonians still lack the career opportunities they deserve to raise their families and live the American dream here at home. As the pandemic highlighted, too many of our neighbors are still one missed paycheck away from financial disaster. The economic recovery has been welcome, but we know many of our neighbors need skills and careers that can withstand the next economic disruption. That's why in less than a year, nearly 13,000 people have applied for our Ready to Work program. which was crafted with extensive business community consultation and input. San Antonians want and need opportunities for jobs with a future. Jobs that will do more than just cover next month's bills. More than 2,000 residents have already enrolled in the Workforce Development Program, and more than 200 have successfully completed training already. Remember, Ready to Work follows our COVID-era Train for Jobs program, which has trained or is in the process of training more than 5,500 San Antonians and placed nearly 2,400 in better-paying jobs. And by helping our residents get on the pathway for higher-paying careers, we're creating a pipeline of trained workers that will help benefit local employers. Workforce development is not easy work. Launching the Ready to Work program has been a complex task, but I'm encouraged by the demand for training. And kudos to Mike Ramsey, the city's Executive Director of Workforce Development, for his steadfast leadership and management of this program. Mike, you're doing a fantastic job. We already received nearly $3 million from the U.S. Department of Labor for workforce development and had the opportunity to share the impact federal grants have on a community with former Labor Secretary Marty Walsh. I was thrilled to highlight the Ready to Work program and demonstrate our strong workforce ecosystem with employers and workforce providers when he visited. The Secretary told News 4, this program, there is no question, should be a model for the rest of the country. Ready to Work is already improving lives, and we're not going to be discouraged by a few bumps in the road. The task cannot be done overnight or already would have been. But there is an undeniable demand for better paying jobs in our community. When all's said and done, I'm confident that we will have improved thousands of lives, helped our city's employers, strengthened San Antonio's economy, and created a more robust workforce ecosystem. That's a smart investment. And as Ready to Work gains momentum, Pre-K for SA and Alamo Promise continue providing important educational opportunities for early childhood students and post-secondary students, providing additional support for our workforce pipeline. In fact, the Alamo Promise program will now provide for tuition-free community college to all Bexar County ISD high school graduates, all of them. Speaking of economic issues, last summer we approved the implementation plan for getting the American Rescue Plan Act dollars to San Antonio's small businesses. We've distributed more than $20 million in direct relief, financial relief, and another $10 million is in the pipeline for helping small businesses adjust to the post-pandemic marketplace. Our small businesses kept our city supplied with goods and services through the pandemic. When we needed to take strong public health measures to counter a global pandemic, much of this fell on our small business community. And they came through time and time again, but they paid a price. Reflecting on the hardships our small businesses and working families have endured convinced me that it was important to oppose Proposition A. In November, Judge Wolf and I, joined by Judge Sakai, convened local public agency CEOs to discuss opportunities for opening that procurement process to a wider array of minority-owned businesses. City staff now has been working with a dozen other public agencies to ensure that small businesses, including Latino and Black-owned firms, have an opportunity to participate in the more than $9 billion in spending locally on goods and services by government entities. In 2021, only 20% of those funds went to Latino and Black-owned firms. Through the Supply SA program, the agencies are now moving toward a universal application, procurement navigators, a one-stop shop, and other tools that will make it easier to secure public contracts and access the dollars flowing into our community and keep them here. This effort to align procurement priorities will not only benefit our small business ecosystem, it will help entrepreneurs build wealth. Our goal is for San Antonio families to thrive as a result. These systemic changes represent an intentional shift in how public agencies invest procurement dollars, and we're creating a playbook that can be replicated across the country through our existing partnership with the Aspen Institute. In January, the CPS Energy Board voted to phase out the use of coal for energy generation. We'll leave coal behind by 2028. I want to repeat that. We will leave coal behind by 2028. If you're counting, that's 35 years sooner than expected. The plan we approved calls for closing the Spruce 1 coal plant by 2028 and transitioning Spruce 2 to natural gas by 27, minimizing the burden on our ratepayers. The decision culminated in a months-long process by the Rate Advisory Commission, which we created earlier in my tenure. And in the process, we'll eliminate tons of carbon emissions, even as we add generation capacity to the CPS Energy portfolio. The plan will add more than 4,900 megawatts of generation capacity, including new wind and solar capacity, as well as battery storage. Meanwhile, in September, CPS added an additional 180 megawatts of solar generation capacity, which followed an agreement to add 300 megawatts of solar in May. One report ranks San Antonio's solar capacity #1 in Texas and 5th in the nation, and climbing. And in addition to our aggressive steps towards cleaner power generation, the utility announced in February that it had weatherized 30,000 homes under the Casa Verde program, which was launched a decade ago to help low-income households reduce power consumption and save money on their energy bills. Moving forward, our STEP program, which reduced demand by 1,000 megawatts in phase 1, will include weatherization efforts and other demand reduction strategies in its second phase. Before wrapping up, I want to emphasize that ensuring public safety remains a core mission, perhaps the most fundamental city function of all. Almost 2/3 of the city budget is dedicated to police and fire protection, for good reason, and we know those funds must be used wisely. Year after year, we have funded new police officer positions. During my tenure, we've added new safe neighborhood substations, improved the police training manual, and increased accountability. We created a violence prevention district within the Metro Health Department, added resources to address domestic violence incidents, and provided additional funds to support our community's mental health services. All those will continue to move forward. But just as San Antonio's victories haven't been realized only within our policy, military, and professional community, on a light note, we're doing pretty good in sports too. UTSA Roadrunners, University of Incarnate Cardinals, Trinity Tigers, they've all made our city accustomed to winning again. Add a San Antonio FC 2022 championship to that list, and it's hard to ignore the momentum we've earned on many fronts. So let's keep the momentum going, because it's that drive, shared by all, that has pushed this city toward greater equity and inclusiveness. We survived a global pandemic, and that same focused strength kept our economy intact and our unemployment low. We've pushed to become a city with a well-prepared workforce, ready for the economy of the future. I am confident in the state of our city, confident that San Antonio is becoming a city where my son Jonah and others of his generation will want to live, to build a career and raise a family. We're on a fruitful path. San Antonio is moving toward the bright future this city deserves. With your continued help, with our unity, we'll keep the momentum going. Thank you all very much.
And thank you all for your patience. So I want to go ahead and we can open up our icons again. But just to open up the conversation. Before we do that, though, any of those folks who haven't already left but need to leave, thanks for being with us today. Next week, we're going to have a legislative update in terms of domestic violence. So I'll be putting out the e-notification about that, and I hope that you come to that as well and tell others about it. So again, just you can feel free to open your mic or raise your hand. And if you would, in chat, list anything or tell me now things that we need to hear about. So any thoughts? Where were there intersections? How often? There's David. He's going to talk. Go, David.
Good morning, Reverend Ann. I appreciate you always, inviting, all the people here onto this platform. I think this is fantastic. In watching that address and just some of the traumas that I've been through, I'm a veteran in a specialized unit doing specialized missions. And I recall coming back from my tour of duty in the mid 90s and feeling just almost a hate from society and significant disparities and equality issues of veterans coming back from war. I don't know if people understand and know that the praise and the accolades that is given to the military didn't really start until after 9/11, which was 9/11 of 01, when Obama and team, along with the United States military, went and took care of that particular situation. But prior to that, most people may not have realized that the veterans in the military, I recall even some of my squad members asking me to go with them just to rent apartments, because apartment complexes would actually add a 10% surcharge because you were military. And so for the mayor to address the military personnel, the economic infusion of these military bases and the veterans, even trying to address some of these homeless situations with veterans, it really strikes a nerve with me. And I'm very thankful that we have a city, though we call ourselves Military USA, it requires people to be cognizant of just the amount of trauma, PTSD, and the selfless service that people put on the line for this country for every single one of our freedoms. So I really appreciated what the mayor did in recognizing the leadership that is here in Military City, USA. And it just really just struck so much to where I'm babbling on, and I apologize about that, Reverend Ann and everyone. But it just really, it warms my heart to see everyone here be compassionate to the veterans. A lot of the businesses, quite a few businesses where they, give discounts and assistance to veterans. I think that is just absolutely fantastic. It is. I thank you all for the service that you do. And it's just, I'm going to stop now because I'm going to go to tears, and I'm not a cheering man. but thank you. Thank you for the platform, and let me have that little bit of moment there.
And thank you, David. And that's one of the things about the intersection. We're mindful of each other, but we also can ramble and babble on about these things. We've got to be able to do that. It does make me ask if we need to have something at the intersection about military. One of the things that comes to mind, given the times that we were in and trauma-informed care, but there is the whole aspect of PTSD and specifically moral injury. So maybe having something at the intersection on moral injury, I can say it, might be a good thing. And we do have a really good connection with the chaplains across the military here in San Antonio. So I'm going to put that down as something that we could look to in the future. Others, you can just open up your mic if you want, and I would welcome it. Or not.
This is Norma Koshman. I'm with the Baha'i Faith. I already put in the chat that we're going to have a city event coming up June 11th. It's on a Sunday, and from 1 in the afternoon, 1 to 5. I'm just going to read what's in the chat. It's going to be held at Rosedale Park, 303 Dartmouth Street. I believe that's in the inner west side, between General McMullen and 27th Street. There will be speakers, entertainment, crafts, food trucks. It's free. It's for the family. It will coincide with Juneteenth. That's on 19th of June. It's kind of like a start of that Race Amity, Race Unity Festival. And we're hoping that it'll be a whole week of awareness that we're one family.
Thank
So
you.
please
Maria.
put it in your calendar.
Thank you.
I had a question. I feel as though the mayor addressed some very important points. I'm glad that for one, that coal is going to be left behind. I have 4 asthmatics.
There's
So
some compassion.
yes, that is a lot, really good for my family. Asthma runs through my family, so that's one of the reasons I'm just can express how hopeful that I am that this goes through. I like what he's doing, and I love the changes as far as going green, because we need to be healthier. We need to be more conscious of our lives as human beings in order to survive a little bit longer. But I think it all works with, getting the right foods and start, doing the gardens. I grew up with gardens, and I just feel like that has made a great impact in my life. And I hope that we can start doing that more gardens here in San Antonio. I've seen a few, but I think that we need to expand some of them to more vegetables, and things so that, anybody can go and just get, some fresh produce. But I just wanted to say that, and thank you all. And it's lovely to see you again.
Good to see you, Jackie. And I mean, everything you've mentioned again is compassion in action.
Yes.
We're all part of this planet. It's one big system, right? So this happens, and I know you all probably know this, but Earth Day is Saturday, and there have been Earth Day events going on all week. And I went to one last Saturday, and I want to share something with you real quick for Earth Day before we have to go. And it was TEDx San Antonio, and amazing. And the quality of our TEDx, I was so proud and stunned. And if you, and I'll try to, they're going to put it up online once they've done some editing and everything. And once I get that link, I'll send that out. But the quality of speaker, there wasn't anything about it that was not good. It was so tremendous. And to know that we have that kind of quality work happening in San Antonio. Anyway, Earth Day officially is April 22nd, which is Saturday. But as I said, there have been lots of events. The city event is at Woodlawn Lake 10 to 2 on Saturday. And I'll be there the whole time. So I would love to see you there.
I will be there.
I see Beverly's hand is up. And while she is talking to us, I'm going to bring up a QR code. Okay. And I'll tell you more about it, but I want to encourage you to go there.
I will.
We're trying to reach a tipping point. It's currently, we're testing it on the environment.
Mm-hmm.
But eventually all of our collaboratives will be included there. Okay. We're trying to reach a cultural tipping point into care and compassion within the city. So we're trying to get 200,000 people to be tallied in, and it doesn't cost anything. You won't go on an email list. We are just trying to reach a tipping point. So I'm going to bring that on screen while Beverly tells us something. She has her hand up. So Beverly, tell us all about it.
Please do.
What you want us to talk about.
Well, you all, this is really something that I'm just truly concerned with. And I'm asking everybody here to think about what we can do differently. We've recently, and particularly on the east and west sides and south, we've had so many shootings and just nonsensical violence, and it's just been so sad, and it feels really overwhelming, because we're at Ella and we hear it. I mean, to be able to not go without a whole week without hearing gunshots is, what it does to your psyche about your community is awful. And I'm saying this because, again, I've watched this now. Normally when things get to a cultural point, it shows up in terms of policy. And I'm just sort of ringing the bells, kind of sounding the alarm, because we're voting on a policy. I don't think it's going to pass at all. But the fact that we have a policy that would release people, that would let people steal up to $750 from somebody's property or hurt somebody up to that, and it only be a ticket, I just believe it sends the wrong message to our future. Well, all of us, and maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we're all of a generation when we went to Sunday school, it said, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. I don't ever remember my parents saying that it was okay to steal any amount of money, anything, not a penny, not anything, not a piece of bread, nothing. I was always told to share that. But I was wanting to know, and just to get a temperature check. Am I out in left field? Are we not seeing the fact that something has actually gotten to a point where we're voting on this, that we're at a tipping point? And I'm saying this because you have done a masterful job of, I think, bringing out our better selves, thinking about how do we do things differently to be compassionate. And I'm real proud of us as an organization, under David's leadership, that we are sharing. We're not just hoarding money for ourselves and getting on and not sharing. What am I missing? What is it? Just me feeling this?
No, it's not just you feeling it. I'm going to chime in, and there's some people like clapping in the corner, and so you're not alone. Others can do that as well. But I do know too, like after this last event in Atlanta, I am just like, this is enough. This is like craziness. And so I know it's not fast enough, but we've got to be working on this together. And so there is the violence prevention plan that's afoot, but it's also why we're working on Compassionate USA and building that and creating it to be moved across the entire country. And not only that, once we've launched that shortly, maybe we need to have an intersection on Compassionate USA. So we know what that is, but it's going to be further developed and then released to all of our educational institutions here in San Antonio, from pre-K through forever. So there'll even be, for graduate studies, but community and congregations, and that will be given away. Jackie, your hand is up. And you're muted.
I agree with what Beverly's saying. It's just, we all have to remember, everyone is so much into the crime, and I understand that. But we have to remember that it starts, where does it come from? It starts with the people. It starts with, like you said, the compassion. We need to, I think there is a cause and effect. The people are going without. We have so many families that are homeless, but yet instead, we don't understand where the crime is coming from. The crime is because they don't have, because they're frustrated, because people have been without for so long that it's really affecting them mentally. They're doing anything. And I think if we start getting out there, like what we do at Building Brighter Communities, we need to reach out to them, because these people, that's one way we can stop the crime. If we don't stop the crime, it's going to get worse. It's going to be in every district, every side of town. and it's gonna spread like a wildfire. But if we don't stop it now, it's gonna increase. And that's what I'm trying to say. We have to remember the root cause of the crime. And that's all I have to say.
Well, and I think part of the difficulty with all of it, one, it's all so large, right? That we can become paralyzed. But it's also, I think, how we go about thinking, even when we go to address different community concerns, we tend to be a little bit too linear in our thinking. Like it's, like if we do this, then this, and then this, and then this, and then this. But that's not how DNA looks. And everything is made, is made with DNA. So it wouldn't surprise us that how all of this relates to each other and how it all works together is like more like DNA than it is a line. It doesn't work that way. And so that's also why we have different collaboratives at work doing different parts of it. And I hope you can kind of have a DNA structure in your head while I'm doing this. I do. But, there are cross lines and points among all of those things. And one of the things that hit me this week is how we use the term silo, how we're all in our silos. Well, I'm a farm girl. And it hit me this week, silos are a good thing. They store up, things we need, right? And so if we think about our silos or our own selves of having really important things inside of us or important parts of the like systemic cultural DNA, we need all of those different parts. What we got to do is start, like sharing what we got in our silos. But instead of looking at how we work as silos, that we have abundance. We just need to connect the abundance we have, the expertise, the knowledge, the commitment, the potential. We need to be connecting those things and making for strong DNA.
Yes.
But it's systemic. And that's why I said, we are the planet.
Mm-hmm.
We are just as much a part of everything is just as much a part of the planetary DNA as we are, or caterpillars, or whatever the case may be. We're all a part of that system.
Yes.
And so if we can respect and value and intentionally, I think intention is a really important word, but intentionally share. It's a good thing in kindergarten. It's a good thing when we're adults.
Yes.
It's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that by listening to the State of the City address, if we were to go back and listen again, we could also start to see and hear those interconnections that, that we're working at,
Right.
and what it's producing. So that whole comment, not just comment, but the whole thing about all of the graduates, high school graduates in San Antonio,
Mm-hmm.
can go to any of our colleges within the Alamo College District at no cost, right?
Right.
That in the DNA, that one spot, that one thing, think about how many things that connects to.
Yes.
In what we're talking about. It connects to violence prevention.
Everything. Mm-hmm.
It connects to healthier food and habits. It
Better
connects
jobs.
to the environment. I mean, it's right.
Right.
And I want to be mindful, of course, I know you all are making your own choice about staying on screen. You're all adults. So I can stay on for about 2 more minutes and then I'm going to have to jump off. But I've really enjoyed the conversation this morning. I don't know if it's been helpful.
Yes.
David, did you want to say something else?
Yes, I definitely appreciate it. And you hit the nail on the head. We call it the DNA. Some of us calls it the 360 approach. When we look at the 360 approach and we looked at what the mayor was talking about, we talked about we use this phrase called from twinkle to wrinkle. We look at all of the things that that the services that you provide, from early Head Start to the youth, then to the adolescents, and then to the young adults, and then to the adults, and then to the seniors, and then wrap all of that around by being culturally aware to provide that service, where we take a look at everyone's trajectories and how do we provide them the best possible outcomes to the time when it's going to the wrinkle stage. All the things that you mentioned, everything from the environmental impacts that the mayor addressed, improving upon access to, procurement dollars, business, if you will, economics for minorities. Then you take a look at the college tuition you just spoke about, the workforce development for the adults, the youth programs, that they're looking to foster and provide, additional funding towards, which was prior to, and then to address it was just everything, the idea of violence and how to prevent that. Everyone here has probably been raised by a community. Yes, we've had our mothers and our fathers, but the community was also inspirational in terms of where we're all at today. And so that in itself, if we look at it, is that 360 approach that really cradled us to be where we're at. And today, as we work in these silos, when I hear the term silo, Reverend Ann, I look at that silo as that 360 within that silo that'll cause that silo that needs to continuously raise up to be able to house all of the resources for people, just people in general. So everything that you said resonated, really well. We utilize the term 360 care, again, from twinkle to wrinkle. And it's fantastic that the mayor addressed that the city really realizes it's not just about the law enforcement. We've got to take a look at how are these kids being raised? What resources do they have or lack? And then what can we do if they, everyone stumbles, where no one is perfect. And so how do we pick everyone up, give them the compassion, give them the kindness, and let them know that, hey, we know you're going to learn. So let's get you back out there, dust those shoulders off and get you back out there. It's just been great. I'm rambling on again. I'm going to stop, but it was fantastic what you said, and Reverend Ann, and I think you just hit the nail on the head. It's fantastic.
Well, do you know how the silos work?
Yes.
Do you know how the good stuff comes out of a silo?
Mhm.
Sheer gravity.
That's a good point. Yes.
It comes out of the
Yeah.
bottom of the silo,
Mhm.
and it's gravity that pulls the good out.
Mhm.
And so I think the gravity of where we find ourselves today and what Beverly has brought forward in terms of the violence,
Mhm.
the gravity of this situation, we need to do more than, and we are, but we need to do even more, and beyond talking about it, beyond thinking about it. We need to let the gravity of it literally pull it out of ourselves, the goodness out of ourselves, and make something happen. And if anybody's interested in doing more, because there are ways for people here to be doing more in terms of violence prevention, just let me know, and we'll make connections. So I'm gonna do 2 more things here. Jackie has her hand up and Norma has her hand up. So we're gonna do that.
Okay.
Then I gotta go.
Okay.
Or I'll just leave it open. You guys can just keep talking all day long.
No, I just wanted to say that if we could stop putting Band-Aids on the issues, there is one that really kind of bothers me. I forgot to mention about the homelessness. There's some apartments that are supposed to be low income, but yet instead they require a criteria that the families have to make 3 times the rent. So these apartment buildings are empty basically, and we have shelters that are packed. And I've seen some families I've sent there to these different locations and they're being turned away. Even people with a voucher, mothers that have vouchers, they have to make 3 times the rent. So I'm not understanding that catch-22.
Right.
Because
So why don't you do this, Jackie? A couple things. This morning's council meeting is on permanent supportive housing. You might want to, you can go online and you can watch that.
okay,
But why don't you send me the basics of that in an email?
yes,
And then I'll connect you. Somebody needs to hear that. And I will tell you right now, the more community somebodies that people hear from, that makes the entire difference.
yes.
And so, you know,
Thank you, Ann.
the community leads the leaders. So Norma.
Oh, I just basically wanted to say this collaborative is so ideal because just like you said, the communication is where we're all sharing our ideas and coming up with solutions. And I was wondering if the city, and I'm sure that it already has, a department for crime prevention, because all those silos that you had mentioned, like homelessness, drug and alcoholism, joblessness, lack of education, family division, a lack of nutrition, all these are separate silos that if they got together often under the crime prevention department and share their ideas on how they're trying to solve this. And
that's what we're doing. That's the violence prevention plan. There's not a crime prevention department. Might be a good thing, but that would probably take a year to make that official. And in the meantime, Metro Health is working on a violence prevention plan that is multidiscipline.
Wow.
And they're looking at 4 areas. So there's domestic violence, sexual violence, which is like trafficking as well, violence among young people. And Paul, tell me, what is the 4th one? You're muted. I'm working on it. There are 4 areas. So again, if you're interested in that work, and they're, like I said, they're bringing
gun
things
safety.
together. What's the 4th one?
Gun safety.
Gun safety. So they're working on 4 specific areas on that violence prevention plan. And I'm kind of hoping and working on getting a group of faith leaders, clergy maybe, but faith leaders who come together and stand strong and speak up and say things publicly like these things have got to stop.
Me.
Yeah, and there's Jackie. So we'll connect you, Jackie.
Okay.
And, because I think that will make a difference.
Yes.
I know it will make a difference. We look historically back, and movements that have like significantly brought down like gang violence, the ones that had the strongest impact were always led by the faith community.
Yes, always.
Multidisciplined, but led by the faith community, reclaiming neighborhoods and the city, and basically saying, not here. This has got to stop.
And I have to go. You're gonna make
I gotta go too.
No, I'm gonna cry because I
love y'all. And I will see you next Thursday at the intersection.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Well, let's see if I can turn off the recording and not lose it. Okay.